Can't you see I'm calling? A guy like you should bear a warning. It's dangerous.
Welcome AIW fans to another edition of Behind the Curtain. Today my guest is none other than Jimmy Jam Olsen.
Yay.
Jimmy, welcome to Behind the Curtain.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Now Jimmy, I don't know if you've seen our format, but basically this is just an opportunity for us to get to know you a little better. The mind behind the madness.
Like a dating website?
Well, we could probably put this on the dating website. You know, win a date with Jimmy Olsen. Well, you never know. I hear you're quite a popular guy. Having said that, so let's get into a little bit of your background here. How did you get into wrestling?
Well, let's see here. Here's a funny backstory. I think I've told it before elsewhere, but I was actually a semi-professional snowboarder in my teenage years. I rode for Burton Snowboards. Me and Shaun White were on the same team at one point. Really awkward. Anyways, I always liked wrestling. I had this goal of going into wrestling like when I was of age. I thought I'd be 18, you know, whatever. Didn't know how carny the wrestling business would turn out to be. Met a kid in high school who was training at like a shitty local independent, and they ended up having H.C. Loke of ECW fame, and so I went over there when I was 14 and started right from there. My buddy hooked me up with it, and it was a pretty carny situation. Like, Loke was there maybe once a week because they weren't fucking paying. They weren't paying anybody. But yeah, easy as that. My friend hooked me up.
No.
And then I dropped snowboarding, which was the dumbest thing ever. But
now, you said you were always a fan of wrestling. Was there anybody that really caught your eye, like the Ultimate Warrior?
Macho Man.
You were a Macho Man fan?
Randy Savage. I legit hated Hulk Hogan until I was probably like 16 because I believe he broke up him and Elizabeth.
All right. Now, once you got your training, tell us a little bit about like your first couple matches. Anything of note?
I had my first match when I was 14. In New York, you had to be 18, and at the time, you had to be licensed. So they forged a license for me. I used my brother's ID, who's 5 years older than me. We actually look real similar, and I was real fat back then too. So like, we were good in the face because he's a tubby kid. And so I wrestled illegally for like the next 5 years in the New York scene. And shit, what was my first match? Some random 6-man for like we had like local crappy TV, you know, like on the whatever you call it,
cable.
Yeah,
public
local.
access.
Yeah, there you go, public access. First match was like a 6-man with some random kids, and it was quite an abortion. I do know that. Now,
Is there any time in that New York wrestling scene that like you got to wrestle like any of your heroes or any names or anybody of note? Or was it just all like
early on? We're talking here.
Yeah.
I would say my first brush with anybody who I thought was really cool. We ended up hooking up with Tony Mamaluke, who originally was from Albany and then moved away for wrestling. I think he's from Georgia or something like that now. But he moved back to the area temporarily for his wife or something like that. So we had to train. Me and Colin got retrained by Mamaluke for like 6 months. We got an opportunity to work out with him all the time. And that was fucking amazing.
Now, were you always with Colin? Did Colin and you train together, or?
I started like 2 or 3 years before him. He was actually ring announcing in the area.
Okay.
And doing like commentary and stuff like that. And then he ended up deciding to get into it. And he was actually trained to be like they were gonna put me into a tag team. And we had the joke. I was already Jimmy Olsen at the time. And we had the joke idea of finding someone else to be an Olsen to do the Olsen twins. Yada yada yada. And me and him ended up becoming good friends. Sort of like, fuck, it's Colin. So he was trained to be my partner from that situation like 2 or 3 years later.
Okay. Well, now, did you prefer singles, or was it just like, I don't want to say love at first sight, or
well,
it was like a perfect package?
I loved Macho Man and everything like that, but I had a real big obsession with tag team wrestling. I always thought there was more you could do with it. And back then, like on Fed TV, there actually were tag teams.
Okay.
Like me and my brother, like the dream always was me and my brother wanted to wrestle all the time too.
Okay.
And we were gonna be the fucking Rockers, of course. You
okay.
know? Totally obsessed with them. And he ended up, you know, growing up and getting out of wrestling, so that never really happened. But I've always had an obsession with tag team wrestling. Brainbusters were, I still like so many Brainbusters tapes. I used to tape trade stuff. I have so much Brainbuster stuff. It's ridiculous.
Okay, from now, you're teaming with Colin, and now are you really starting to expand all across the United States and elsewhere, or are you staying mostly in New York?
We were in New York mostly, and then I think our first bigger outside booking, we got NEPW which is in like Painesville, right? You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
Strongsville, Painesville.
Yeah, with Eddie Edwards, I believe it was.
Yes.
And Dun & Marcos hooked us up with that. We ended up becoming like Dun & Marcos' young boys, essentially. Like they would just bring us to all these different shows with them, and hopefully we'd get on. And then I knew Glenn Spector from Rochester. He would work with local promotions, so he helped hook us up there too. And from there we got to work with like we got Chris Hamrick on our side from there because he became a big fan of us. And like Janetti was in that locker room.
Okay.
Funny story in that our first NEPW show, Janetti was doing like Polaroids in the ring. Mm-hmm. Me and Colin walked to the ring in gear. $5. Can we please have our picture? Like, this is fucking Marty Janetti, man. I grew up loving the fucking Rockers. He goes, keep your money, man. Let's do this. But yeah, I totally marked out for everybody. I didn't care. It's Marty Janetti.
All right, now you're starting to make a name for yourself. Now, when did you get the call from Chikara? Was this later on, or
I actually started emailing Quackenbush when I was like 16.
Okay.
And I'm emailing like every month. Hi, I'm so and so. We do this. Here's my material. And come to find out, like, he didn't really look at any of it, but he's like, oh, we don't have any spot openings right now, yada, yada, yada. I actually contacted, when he first started Tag World, we contacted Quack, asking if we could get in on it. And apparently they were, like, real close to actually booking Bob Saget.
Okay.
And he was going to book us to come in, he was going to manage us. And Bob Saget fell through, so we lost the booking. And then we ended up booking Hero and Claudio for a Rochester show.
Okay.
And me and Brody Lee did a tag match with them two. And from that point on, like, Claudio, Hero, and Bryce took a bunch of my material, gave it to Quack. And they're like, yeah, we want to use you. I go, well, I got Colin, we do a good tag team thing. They looked at him, like, cool, let's do it.
Now you mentioned Brody Lee. Now, was that just another tag team partner, or did you have various tag team partners?
It was well, in Rochester at the time, we were actually, it was the three of us all the time,
okay.
Which we got to do in Chikara a couple times. Like, Brody was the big, the boss of the group, and we were the two little dorky henchmen. And that was the original of the group.
Okay. So now, once you got into Chikara, I know you've portrayed many characters, we'll call it, in Chikara. Can you go into some of your characters that you portrayed in Chikara?
I'm trying to even think of whose idea the Equinox thing was. But either way, me and Vingiarda, he's actually one of my best friends, and we ended up getting to do a little program together, and he was the Equinox. And it might have even been his idea for me to put the hood on to, like, get back at him or something like that. That's what they're looking for. Equinox sucked.
Okay.
I didn't mind it at first, but like that hood is like wearing a carpet on your face. That thing was so goddamn thick. I dug it at first, but like it was real hard to work in it, and I didn't feel like. I think one of my strong points is selling my facials, and I thought that kind of ruined it for me for a little while. But it was fun once we started to do. I don't know if you follow it all, but like the Futures Now stuff with Jigsaw and Helios. That was real fun because they're two of my good friends, so we had a lot of fun with that. And then we had the feud with Vin and Colin, which is always just real easy. So that time period was real fun, actually.
So you would prefer to never have to wear a mask?
Oh my god, I really hated it. If only for the breathing and everything like that. It was. I felt like shutting down my face ruined half of my. Not that I'm a good-looking man, but I thought my cell was real strong. You know.
Now you've been through Chikara, you've been all through the New York wrestling scene. And tell us a little bit about how you came to know about AIW.
The booking of AIW is really funny. They came to King of Trios like 2 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
After every King of Trios, we go to a bar down the road in South Philly called Downey's. Downey's. Best karaoke bar ever. It was also on that Spike TV, like, that show where they rebuild the bars that are all scummy. They were just featured there as the worst bar in all of America.
All right.
They found like dead rats and crap in it. But an awesome karaoke bar. Either way, Chandler and them came out, Thorne came out to the karaoke bar, and we just started getting talking about it. At the time, we just started training, me and Colin were training Dalton. Dalton's been my best friend since like second grade.
Okay.
We grew up together. We started training him, and we were trying to get him bookings. And I don't remember the conversation. Thorne gave it to me the next day, but essentially we were like, if you book Dalton and Colin's brother Ed, or just Freddie Midnight, we're like, if you book those two, we'll come with them. Let us do a tag match together. And the next morning we come back to the venue. These arena. He's like, all right, so you come next month. I look at Dalton like, what is he talking about? And he's like, dude, we got booked last night. I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, we'll be there. Sounds great. It was actually a real funny. It was one of those the paid bar shows. The first one we did. It was great. It was fun.
Now, before we go any further with your AIW career, let's backtrack just a hair. Colin gets the call to the Fed. How were you personally feeling at that point? Were you like, what am I going to do now? Or were you happy? I mean, I'm sure you were happy for him, but was it like...
The funny story of it was I was working like 5 hours a week at a gym. I would open up a gym for like an hour every morning.
Okay.
I just so I could have a free gym membership at the time. I was wrestling for a living, which was really cool. But I would open the gym at like 5 in the morning, and then I'd come home and just crash. I wake up like 5 hours later. I got like 4 missed calls from Brody Lee, and like a bunch of texts and like voicemail, call me back, quick. I finally tried to call him back at like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. He's like, sorry, bro, yada, yada, yada. And apparently he called Colin, who worked at a factory like right down the road from the Rochester building.
Okay.
So then, like, he ended up hopping right in there and they gave it right to him.
So basically that was supposed to be your spot.
Yeah. Brody was trying to hook, I think it was like Noble or something like that. They're looking for, because they had a bunch of extras. They had like Pepper Park, something like that, but they all looked too old and big. They're looking for something small for Shelton.
Okay.
And so like Noble's like, anyone know anybody local could be here? And Brody tried to call me, couldn't get me, found Colin. Colin clearly has a better look for that spot. Like, I was upset that I missed it because it would have been awesome, but if it's gonna be anybody, fucking better be the kid, and he did great with it.
Now, while he's off on the Fed, did you try to find a new tag team partner? Did you go into singles?
I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, and then Quack was really confident in a singles run with me.
Okay.
And we tried that out for like 2 months, and it picked up real hot. So right from there, I was like, all right, I'll be fine. And then, like, even like a week after that, like Ian Rodden called, so I picked up I knew Mid-South. CCW was still calling, so I actually made the rounds a lot during that time period, which was really good for me. I wasn't sure about it, but it worked out.
So basically, Colin going to the Fed worked out better for you than
that's probably my most money-making year, because I was making the rounds a lot for whatever, whether it was just booking me as a singles guy and it was weird or what, I don't know why, but the phone was ringing a lot.
Okay. Now let's go back to, now you're in AIW, you're a former AIW Tag Team Champion. You've had what many have called a Match of the Year candidate with your triple threat match. Is that your favorite match here in AIW, or do you have a favorite match that you've wrestled here in AIW?
The triple threat was really good. Not so much my style, but man, the Airborne. That match was on the Airborne. The Airborne were amazing. But my favorite match would be with Dalton and what is it, Kay Fernandez.
Okay.
The brawl we did on like TPI weekend.
Okay.
That was like, you could probably watch that match and see how much fun we were having. That was a ball. That was real fun. That would probably be my favorite match.
That's your favorite match?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you've been here in AIW for a while now. You've got kind of like the lay of the land. You know, we boast one of the best tag team rosters in independent wrestling.
Definitely.
Where do you see yourself now as a single? You know, you've been to the mountaintop here in AIW as a tag team. Where do you see yourself fitting in as a singles wrestler?
I'll tell you what I've actually wanted to work in for a long time. I'd like to work with BJ.
BJ Whitmer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I met BJ once, like a handful of years when we were doing like, we used to do ring crew for Ring of Honor back in the day. Like Loki used to bring us around trying to get spots in there. But like, I never really had a real conversation until I came to AIW with BJ, and we become pretty, like, we're good friends now. We're hanging out a lot, but like, I've always wanted to work him. Okay. That'd be the guy, if anything.
So that's like your dream opponent here in AIW.
As far as here goes, definitely. I would love to test myself with that because BJ is as good as it gets.
All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy, thank you for joining us today. Before Behind the Curtain, we'll be bringing you more Behind the Curtains as the weeks progress. But again, Jimmy Olsen, thank you for joining us. And best of luck to you as you embark upon your singles career here in AIW.
Appreciate it.